Hey, good afternoon. My name is Lisa Smith. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the executive director of the Washington State Microenterprise Association. And I'm really glad to be here. Unfortunately, I don't know how many people are here or what kind of craft or creative businesses that are represented here, but I'd like to learn more about you. And my hope is that you will get some information for your craft enterprise, resources that'll help you become profitable, and ways maybe that can help you navigate this global pandemic. What I'd like to do first is just get a sense of who's in the room, and more importantly, what questions do you have, or what would really ring your bell in terms of information from this session that would help your business. And so I have the chat here available, and if any of you have some burning questions that you want to make sure we answer in this webinar, please put it up in the chat at this point. I want to begin by really kind of sharing about WSMA, or our Washington State Microenterprise Association. Our partners around the state all focus on companies with 5 or fewer employees. And so the smallest companies in the state, many of them are creatives. And a lot of the research by Richard Florida and others have shown that communities that make it safe and welcoming for creatives, these are makers, brewers, coffee roasters, artists, dancers, fashion designers, those communities that create a safe space for these creatives to thrive, to live affordably, to access markets, become economically vital communities. And so the thing I'd like you all just to take with you is that when you are supported by your local communities, and when you have a space to create and design and impact your communities, you're not just helping yourself as an artist, you're helping a lot of different parts of your community, including businesses that are attracted to communities with a lot of creatives, because you're creating a life and richness and vitality for their employees. Okay, so first of all, what I'd like to do is go to our website. WSMA has been around for several years, and we are really all over the state. I'm just gonna hold on here one second. Forgive me, I'm just having a little technical difficulty. And Jacqueline, I wonder if you could help me get this, my website up there. Okay, there we are. One second. Okay, so you should be looking at our statewide association website, and why I'm directing you here is because there are partners, we call them microenterprise development organizations, that are there for you. Their whole focus is really helping small businesses thrive. And if you go to the partner page and you look down, there's a map there of organizations throughout the state that provide business training, technical assistance, and microloans. Several of our partners even offer microloans up to 25 or 30,000, some even larger. But if you need small scale financing, you can reach several of our partners. If you're an Indigenous community, the Ta'ala Fund and Northwest Native Development Fund, or if you're in the Seattle area, Ventures and Business Impact Northwest are critical partners for us. If you're in the Yakima area, the Center for Business Development. Up there in the north, Skagit County, there's Center for Inclusive Entrepreneurship. And in Spokane, we have SNAP. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but what I want to just say is that if you're interested in one of these, you just click on it, and it gives you a place where you can go to get business training, technical assistance, and microloans. Okay. So what I'd like to do is just begin this presentation and go through some of the ideas that made sense to our team when we proposed this workshop. And I want to go here first. Oh, and if you have any questions, if you have priorities that you want us to share, just please put that in the chat. Okay, so I know that many of you are artists, or if you don't, you know artists or crafters or dancers or writers or poets. You know, the day of the starving artist, we want to see an end to that day. We want prosperous artists and musicians and writers and dancers. We want this creative class to be thriving. But the problem is, especially during this pandemic, it has been incredibly difficult. Venues are closed, artists and performers can't perform anymore, and there's really been a need to kind of fall back and regroup and pivot. So I just am going to go through and describe some options that you have both now and then during the economic recovery. So as I mentioned before, creatives make a vital quality of life for all of us, both in urban and rural settings. And I cannot stress enough how essential you are to our whole statewide economy. And if you don't know that, then I want you to do some research, because without creative entrepreneurs and those who, you know, draw murals and have create music, or are creative roasters or distilleries or brewers, without these incredibly creative entrepreneurs, our lives are just not as rich, and our economies are not as strong. So what I want to make sure that you leave with is, not only is WSMA a partner for you, we're a statewide organization, but locally you have partners that help you along the way. And I don't have to tell you or many creatives that having affordable spaces to create is really a huge issue. And like we work with organizations that are working with artists who, if they had a safe and available space to create, they could grow their business dramatically. Some artists have been able to transition and move all of their product sales to e-commerce, but it's not easy. We have partners around the state who help businesses do that. More and more communities are having reduced budgets for public art, but that hopefully will be changing. What we know is that there are partners in our state that are designed or invested in supporting you. So a couple of things just to bear in mind is really get good at your craft. There are artists who are so good at doing their craft, whatever it is, but they haven't developed a business, and others have a business, but they haven't really fine-tuned their craft. What I want to share with you is that it's not enough to be good at your craft, but you also have to be good in business. And what we want you to be able to do is build connections with partners around the state and in your community to be able to focus on building income. And so those include strategies like refreshing your website or integrating an e-commerce site. I want to, if you haven't already heard about the Artist Trust, this is an incredible resource up in Seattle, but they're statewide, and they're really invested in helping the artist not only develop their portfolio or helping them link up with grants that are available for artists or artist in residence opportunities, but they're focused on building capacity in artists and the partners that serve those artists. And so if you haven't gone there or don't know about them, please go visit their site. They're incredible partners for us. I also want to direct you to the Washington State Arts Commission. We are very fortunate in Washington State to have an arts commission that is innovative, really bent on partnership. They're really focused on helping small urban and rural communities, actually specifically rural communities, grow their creative districts so that their policies and jurisdictional regulations can be changed in order to create a more welcoming creative environment or districts that are welcoming to creatives. And so if you go to the Washington State Arts Commission, you'll see resources and grant opportunities, but also places where communities have applied to and have become creative art districts. So I think Chewelah on the eastern part of the state, I know Olympia is one. So take some time and check out those two sites. I'd like to go just a little bit, take some time and look at the business resources for creatives. And what I want to say is that several programs around the state, Ventures is one up in Seattle, Business Impact Northwest, SNAP, Enterprise for Equity, Center for Inclusive Entrepreneurship, and others provide comprehensive business training. And what that is just walking a person through the process of writing a business plan or building a strategy that helps that business look at what their product is, help them build out their marketing strategy, helping them understand their cash flow projections and developing their financial statements, their accounting systems, and then really, making sure they have the right legal structure. And that training is really essential. And what we know is that when a business, regardless of whether you're a creative business or not, when a business has a handle on their implementation strategy, like they know how many widgets they need to build in a week and how many they can sell in a week, and they've got the right price for that mural or that craft, and they're able to have enough of those products in their inventory to sell them over time, it just makes it for that craft entrepreneur to have less stress, more income and revenue, more predictability. And when craft enterprises or creatives are tracking their income, which is essential, and tracking their expenses, then everything is easier when it comes to doing your taxes or making sure you are on top of your business and you know whether it's thriving or faltering. If you are in touch with your financials, it really makes a difference. So technical assistance is another piece. It's really important. And I want to say a shout out to the small business development centers around the state. You can just Google under SBA or Small Business Development Centers. They are an incredible partner for WSMA. They provide one-to-one counseling and business technical assistance, and they are sharp as a tack. And if they don't know an answer to your particular craft-based business, they will find the answer. Really an incredible partner. Several of our MDOs around the state provide technical assistance in terms of business coaching. Women's business centers in Spokane and Olympia and in Seattle provide coaching and business counseling through the women's business centers. So just know that you're not alone, and know that you have free, accessible, professional resources available to you as a craft-based enterprise. The third part I want to cover is really talking about microloans or microlending. And I can't see your faces, so I don't know if this is making sense to you, but I'm just going to keep kind of barreling through. So often creatives, artists, writers, and crafters have a hard time accessing financing. It's hard because if you don't have a regular job or regular revenue streams, banks aren't really able to help you. They say, well, just go get a credit card and put it on your card. Some local lending institutions are more amenable sometimes to these small loans, or credit unions definitely. But what is true is that when you're first starting out, it's really hard. And what I want to say is that there are micro lenders and CDFIs, or community development financial institutions, that are there for you. So if you need a small loan to get started, they're going to want to know whether you can pay that loan back, or whether you have collateral like a car to put up in order to secure that loan. Or they're going to want to know whether your financials are in order, whether you can actually predict sales, or if you have a handle on your inventory, or what the cost of your goods sold are. But what I'll say is that programs like Business Impact Northwest and Ventures, Enterprise for Equity, SNAP, Center for Business Resources there in Yakima do microfinance. Tri-County up there in Colville, they also do small loans. To Fund there in Quinault Nation does small microloans. What I want to encourage you to do is not go for financing unless you really need it. But if you need it, these partners around the state will walk you through the process you need to go through in order to qualify for that loan, prepare your business to pay back that loan, and then when you're ready, help you bridge your business to the next stage. And then finally, I just want to talk to you about accessing new markets. I'll talk a little bit later about some trends that we're seeing, but there are businesses and organizations around the state that are really hubs for art or craft-based enterprises. So in Seattle, there's the Ventures store. It's right down in Pike Place Market. It's really a place where their craft and art-based enterprises can sell their goods. In Olympia, there's Gallery Boom and Childhood's End. And what we know is that these hubs are places where artists can get that first leg up in accessing their market. So I just want to make sure we kind of had those perspectives in mind. So going on, I want to just talk a little bit more about other resources that are available to you. We are fortunate, WSMA is supported by the Department of Commerce through funding from the state legislature, but if you go to the Department of Commerce, there is an incredible amount of resources and links that will help you. If you're an entrepreneur who is Black, Indigenous, or an artist of color, there are several resources at the Department of Commerce that are designed to help communities grow their small businesses. The Small Business Resiliency team is one of those. Also, Startup Washington and other resources are there. So take a look at the Department of Commerce for resources, community linkages, and others. And I also wanted to just say that I'm proud of our state. Our director, Lisa Brown, and the governor have really invested a lot of time and energy getting small grants of, up to 10,000 out to entrepreneurs all over the state. So if you haven't reached out to your Economic Development Council, for example, and asked about these small grants, do that because they're available, and more funding, I think, is going to be available coming from the federal level through our state partners. I'd like to take just a moment to talk about libraries. You don't imagine that libraries could be an economic development partner, but libraries are the bomb. They are in almost every community. They are a resource that is essential for creatives. They have databases that they pay thousands and thousands of dollars for, so that you and I, with a library card, can go into those libraries and research on Reference USA and see what other craft enterprises are around, or look at where emerging markets are, or other resources for creatives. So I really want to make sure that you really tap into, whether it's a Timberland Regional Library or a state librarian. Elizabeth Iakia, she is a powerhouse. Spokane Library is incredible, one of the top in the nation. Also the Seattle Library System. So just really use this incredibly valuable free resource. I mentioned WSMA and the Microenterprise Development Organization, so I'm not going to go there. I also talked a little bit about the Small Business Development Centers. Again, they are incredible resources and they're free. They have webinars and other resources for you. Your local Economic Development Council is also an essential partner for you. They may not know that you're there. They may not know what resources that you need. Go talk with them. They have kind of this three-pronged strategy, one to bring in new companies, but a second part is really to support businesses that are there. And if you're an established creative-based business, they want to know you're there. They want to help you. They want to help you grow. Some of them have training programs. So really get up and close and personal with your Economic Development Council. And then finally, of course, Chambers of Commerce, incredibly important partners for networking, for getting reductions in health benefits and insurance. They create community for so many artists. So make sure you get in touch with your local Chamber of Commerce. I don't have to explain to you how devastating this global pandemic has been on creatives. It's remarkable. There have been several Netflix shows on how creatives have been able to make their art or make their craft during COVID and get it out to the world, solve community problems through art, build an awareness of how vital creative outlets are for communities. There have been cities that have had small grants to help artists draw murals on boarded up stores that are closing now in small communities. COVID has really challenged all of us to do our work better, to do our work differently. And when you can't dance because your ballet isn't able to operate because of COVID, it's devastating. And so what we know is that artists that have been resilient have been able to stay active, stay connected with friends and family, stay connected with their fellow artists and creatives. And this COVID pandemic will pass. And our hope is that you take this time now to reflect, to come back to your center, build your business, and develop some of the tools that you may not have been able to have time to develop, whether it's your website or your e-commerce component of your platform. Now is the time to do that. And so what we've had conversations all over the state with businesses that have had to pivot during the pandemic. Some businesses have been able to transition their business and do classes online. Never had they imagined that they could do a class for mosaic work or creating beautiful fabric or dyeing fabric or whatever, and they are doing it now. So don't dismiss the idea of doing classes online. Food-based enterprises have been hit so hard. They have, the best thing about food-based businesses is that you get to taste them and go test them out. And so a lot of food-based businesses, at least in this, in the Pacific Puget Sound region, have been engaged with Gobble Up Seattle. I don't know if you have heard of that, but if you get a chance, go to it. It is amazing. And foodpreneurs and food-based enterprises have applied and have been able to get a part of this. They're actually, I think it's the 13th or the 15th, they're going to be, opening this up so that people all over the nation, including all over the state, can go buy products and services by these food-based enterprises. Some refrigerated companies have been able to get their products now to be shelf stable. Some food and artist-based businesses have developed gift packs. So it's just an opportunity to fall back, reflect, and regroup. I want to just spend a little bit of time in some of our conversations. We've really been able to connect with artists who have linked their products to e-commerce sites and are working with WooCommerce, which has been able to help them get more of their products to their customers. Etsy is another, Shopify, and the marketplace is one, but there's also the W marketplace for women or women-owned businesses. So I would encourage you to go to these sites and check out which one is going to be the best for your business, for your size of business, for your particular brand or your particular product. And that is the end of my presentation. And what I'd like to do is just open it up now and see if you have any questions. I'm curious if this made sense to you, or if you have any questions. I will take this time now. Okay, so the first question here is, how do you price your work? Okay, now I'm not going to be the best technical specialist here, but I will say that in going through a business planning program, you will learn who has products similar to yours. Where are they priced? How is the quality of your product compared to theirs? You really want to avoid pricing your product too low. You want to price your product where the market will bear. Meaning, if you see similar products to yours and they're priced at $10 per product, you want to stay. If your product is high quality like that or better, you want to stay there or higher. But Artist Trust and other microenterprise development organizations will help you with those pricing questions. How do you take your product, your craft business online? If you don't have a partner or a resource for that, I would contact your local microenterprise development organization or small business development center or economic development council. They have resources, some of them, that will help you develop your online presence. Here's another comment. This business is a chocolatier, and everything is done by hand. So, wow, it sounds like you have a lot of different products and services that you can provide. I would reach I would go to our website and see which microenterprise development organization is nearest to you and go connect with them. I'm looking here, hold on. Yes, so there's a question here about online specialty loose leaf tea. There are several tea stores in the Puget Sound along I-5, and there are, I know that there is a networking group that links them together. If you want to reach out to me, lisa.wamicrobiz, I will help connect you with the ones that I know. I'm going to keep moving on here. So my areas of writing are HR, FinTech, PropTech, and residential construction. So I don't know what the question is, but there are online programs, platforms where they're linking freelance writers with companies that need immediate or long-term contracts. And again, I don't have that right here, but I can, if you want to reach out to me, I will link you to some resources for writers and other writer consultants. I'm curious if you have any insights into passive income opportunities for creatives. Well, I'll say that if you can figure out what is optimal for your business. So I've worked with, I know of an entrepreneur who is really an artist. She works with her hands, but what she's been able to do is develop a training or a workshop where using a writing process to help people learn how to write in this creative process. So she's taken that business online. Then she wrote a book, and by selling her book, it's an income stream for her in addition to her online revenue. And then she was able to make a small booklet of like tarot cards using her art. And that's another revenue stream. So there are a lot of different ways you can create revenue. It's just really tricky, especially now in the pandemic. I hope that was close to answering your question. Here's another question. From your perspective, what big opportunities are there on the horizon for the creative industries? Okay, so here's what I'll say. Our state has expertise in tech, for example, in building airplanes. We have a whole industry on maritime. My dream is that our state Department of Commerce builds a network or an emphasis in working with creatives. I think Washington State has so many opportunities to grow the creative class and build our rural and urban communities so that they're more attractive to artists and creatives. We have more resources, grants, and programs for creatives. We have programs that create affordable spaces for creatives to make their art or make their products. So I think, now this is just my opinion, I think the future is bright for creatives in our state. And I know Lisa Brown has it on her radar. So here's a question. Hello, music and sound for picture here. Looking for local biz resources and any new ideas. Okay, so I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of online workshops and programs. There is almost every nonprofit I know is putting on gala events for their nonprofit. They can't hold a huge event because of course, because of COVID. So they are hiring like hotcakes, videographers and voiceover folks and folks who are not really actors, but can be hired to be MCs, and musicians are really building music resources for these videos. And so it's not an easy time for performance or musicians because you can't convene, big performances. But I would encourage you to reach out to videographers and others who work with artists and musicians as just one way that you can get the word out about your business. So here's a comment. Podcasting, God, that is such a huge piece. There are partners around the state that will help you develop your podcasts. I don't have them right here, but if you want to send me an email, that would be great. Photographers, again, this is a critical time for you to help businesses and nonprofits build their presence and their brand through really good photography and get ready for when the economic recovery happens. Here's a question or a comment. I started a small art collective to support other local vendors and artists with my small events. I've been able to adapt ways to still do a hybrid version, but I'm struggling in taking myself and my art online. So, yeah, the problem is sometimes these platforms that are really sophisticated and have capacity for a lot of vendors is really pretty expensive. I want to do a shout out to the Northwest Cooperative Development Center. They work with cooperatives all over the state. I know you mentioned you're a collective, but I would touch base with Diane Gazaway with Northwest Cooperative Development Center. They have an incredible amount of expertise helping groups of whatever, farmers or artists or healthcare workers to come together and support each other in small cooperative development or cooperatively owned businesses. I hope that's helpful. Boy, there's a lot of questions here. Okay, you mentioned a few organizations like SNAP, but we could use a list. Okay, go to wamicrobiz.org. So that's WAMICROBIZ.org. And there you will find a list of organizations like SNAP and others that are there just to help small under 5 employee companies grow their business to the next stage. So let me know, just email me, lisa.wamicrobiz@gmail.com, and I will help you link with one that's close to you. Okay, so for the small stuff, but not for big purchases, we save up and pay cash for any big purchases. So yeah, credit cards, unfortunately, if you're not able to access microloans or other kinds of financing, credit cards are, they're the only way in many cases. I would agree with the person who commented here that if you can use your credit card, pay it off. Like one of the things that a lot of creatives and a lot of very small businesses don't know is about their credit score and their credit report and what impact large institutions like banks and credit bureaus, insurance companies, decisions they make about you when you don't pay back your loans. And so there's a resource here in the state called the Washington Asset Building Coalition. And it is an incredible resource for people wanting to get their personal financial house in order. They help you understand your credit score and your figuring out what your credit report is. So if you can't get a credit card, they're a partner in the state that could help you. I like the idea of paying off things in cash. It will help you in the long run, but building credit is also really important. There's a comment here about what is the range for a typical microloan. Well, I'll tell you, it really ranges. Typically, a microenterprise in our mind is a business with 5 or fewer employees and with capital needs or financing needs of under $35,000. So our partners around the state, I mentioned SNAP and Business Impact Northwest and Ventures, RCDR in Yakima, Enterprise for Equity, they generally are, really up to $35,000. Some of these partners go up to $150,000, but that's the typical range of a microloan. All right, here's one more question. Seems everybody is struggling. Any tips for balancing compassion with having a head for business? Oh my, love that question. All right, well, I'll tell you that a community that creates a healthy space for creatives is creating beauty and richness, whether it's the procession of the species or artist events in, music in the park. These creative outlets enable our communities to be rich and in connection with each other and to build that vitality. What I know is that not all artists have a head for business, and it's really, really hard. I would just encourage you to be patient with yourself, be gentle with yourself. If you're not comfortable with numbers, it's okay. But the programs that I mentioned today, and if you go to our website or go to any of the links that or I spoke about, they will hold your hand. They will hold your hand, and know that you don't have to walk down that dark alley alone. I really want you to know that being good in business is not enough. You have to be good in your craft, but if you can be good in both, it is really truly a beautiful thing. So here's a few tips. One, really keep track of your expenses. I mean, meticulous track. Write down everything and what it's for, and add it up at the end of the day and the end of the month. And do the same for your income. If you can track your income and when it comes in and what kind of customers are paying for your product and whether you're at the right price point, your income and your expenses, when you track that, help you so much. Because when you know what your income and your outgo is, you know how healthy your organization, your business is. You know whether you need to do more sales, or you'll know when your expenses are too high. If you haven't built a cash flow projection, oh my word, do it now. Don't pass go, don't collect $200. Build a cash flow projection sheet, and you can look at the SBA, they have templates there. Our partners around the state will help you. But when you have a cash flow projection, you can see when your expenses are coming in, when you're going out, when your income is coming in, and when you can get a handle on that, your stress level decreases, your sense of well-being increases, your financial well-being improves, and you're on a better path to create more and increase your income more. Okay, so that is all I wanted to share for today. Please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm a musician, and I have deep and abiding love for creatives, and I'm honored that you came to this session. Thank you, all of you. And I think that's it.